at Stranmillis. The cars are in line and ready with so many questions to be answered. The quality of the all-important stages, the power and speed of the top machinery, the microchip technology, how's it going to work? And what's the relationship between those same Group A cars and the more standard vehicles in Group N? And of course there's the key question, can Jimmy McRae win it again this year and so make it a record 6 victories in the Circuit of Ireland Rally? The 1988 event is going to be somewhat different from the 48 that have gone before it. For one thing, it'll finish in the city of Dublin on Monday night. For another, it could be won by a Mitsubishi Starion for the very first time. And yet another difference, there could be a record-breaking 6th win. Now this rally, as I say, takes in a trip of 3 days duration, 730 miles in all when you add the road stages and the special stages together, and it takes us as far south as Waterford before ending up in the Millennium City. The first day's run, 10 special stages in counties Antrim, Down, Armagh and Cavan, the long way round to Dublin, 228 miles on the road and 56 miles in special stages to end up there on St. Stephen's Green at 10:30 tonight. Well, right now the cars are assembling in seated order on the Stranmillis embankment just a mile or so away from here beside the River Lagan, and with them is Alan Tyndall.
Well, there are minutes to go before the start of the 1988 Rothmans Circuit of Ireland, and there's a tremendous air of expectancy here at the Stranmillis embankment. Of course, all the chat, all the conjecture, who's going to win, who's going to do what, all ends really when we see the results of the first stage. And that's one that I'm sure Jimmy McRae, running at number 1, will be looking forward to, Jimmy.
Yes, well, it's that's when the rally really starts, and the butterflies disappear after the first stage, and we're all settled down to a rally after that.
Well, the sun's shining, it's a good day so far, it's real sort of Sierra weather.
Well, it's certainly more like Easter this morning than it was yesterday morning. I'm happy about that.
It's a fairly fast first stage, a chance possibly to build up a little bit of a lead right at the word go.
Well, it's first stage is always, you know, it just depends the sort of mood you're in at the start, but if you get the first stage right, then it's good to get a few seconds on everybody else there.
The stages today, in fact, do suit the Cosworths more than they do us. They're quite fast stages. So if we can have a bit of rain tomorrow with the twisty stages in the south, it'll be fine.
What would be the advantages of the Peugeot 309 compared to the 205?
It's a little bit longer wheelbase, so it's not so bumpy and feels a little bit more. I feel a little bit more confident in this car because he is quite progressive when he starts to slide and everything. So seems a little bit better there, but I think in speed they are the same. It's the same engine and gearbox and everything. Yeah.
Is an overall win out of the question? Is it a possibility?
I think for that to happen, obviously some of the Cosworths have to retire. But it's going to be very difficult down in the south. Obviously the stage is very pothole, and I think it's going to be very hard on transmission. So at the end of the day, it could be anybody's rally.
It's a much more demanding Circuit of Ireland than I think a lot of people realise. It may be shorter, but the stages are rough, they're tight, and they're very demanding.
Today should be a good day for the Cosworth. Obviously there's Jimmy and Mark also in Cosworth. And ourselves, but from tonight onwards, for sure, it's going to be more down to, I think, David Llewellyn when it gets down into the muckier, twistier, potholer roads that you have down the south this time for us.
Louise and Ellen, second overall on the opening round of this championship. The days of going for ladies' prizes are long gone now.
Oh, I don't think so. I think, you know, you've still got to win the ladies' award if you do a rally. But obviously the overall position means a lot more because of the championship that we're doing.
You may be relaxed, Ellen, but how do you get your driver sort of psyched up for the event?
I think Louise is fairly self-motivating. I think that she wants to win, just like I want to win. And I think the combination of the two of us both thinking in the same way, it seems to work.
Mark Lovell, you learnt your rallying really in the forests, but you're now becoming quite a tarmac specialist.
Well, we do most of our rallying at home in the forest, but obviously most of the rallying that we do on tarmac is in Ireland, so it's nice to come over here and get the experience you need to go into Europe.
Has it been hard to adapt from the loose to the tarmac?
No, not really. I actually find it a bit easier on tarmac than the loose.
It's a long way from Norway, where Skoda driver John Hoogland comes from, to Stranmillis, but it's a short run from Stranmillis to the City Hall in Belfast at the start of the 1988 Rothmans International Rally. The Easter sunshine has brought a huge crowd to wish bon voyage to the 70 starters. None are more popular than Jimmy McRae, who is former Austin Rover co-driver Rob Arthur with them on this occasion. It's winners all the way in car number 2. Llewellyn won in 1986 and Phil Short in 73 and 86. Mark Lovell is the current tarmac champion, and this time he has Irishman Ronan Morgan sitting alongside. Kelly Grundle from Sweden with Englishman Brian Rainbow are giving the Peugeot 309 GTI its tarmac debut. While Austin McHale with Christy Farrell back again in the co-driver's seat have a lot to learn about the Mitsubishi. As the drivers think about their cars, the notes, and no doubt the dangers ahead, Bertie Fisher must be thinking of the possibility of his first circuit win. He's followed by the shocking pink Phil Collins, who is always a quick circuit starter. The rally multitudes have flocked in their thousands to stage 1. And if you thought that a short circuit had lost its appeal, look at this. With the people come the problems, and Jimmy McRae arrives half an hour late due to the crowd. This must be intimidating the experienced driver. Jimmy is also having electrical problems in the Cosworth Sierra. The car has cut out twice on this stage. David Llewellyn in the Audi 200 is trying like only the Welshman knows how. And he nearly takes our camera crew with him. Let's now go inside car number 3 on this unromantically named Navi's Drain stage. Mark Lovell, like many of the top drivers, has been openly critical of the choice of stages in this year's circuit. But this is classic Irish tarmac rallying, and Ronan Morgan reads the pace notes.
100 brow into long easy left, maybe, bumpy. 250, turn 90 right.
Let's now see that people problem from inside the car.
250, turn narrow, 90 left.
Some of those bad spectator habits have sadly crept back, despite the outstanding efforts of the marshals at this point.
70, long left, maybe, bump on exit. 100, medium right, opens. 30, narrow left, maybe.
Behind them on the road, Kelly Grundle is getting to know his 309. He prefers to use almost standard split. It helps to mop up the bumps. Naturally, people are keen to see the new Starion, but for Pentti Auricola, it's been a very bad start. The Mitsubishi has been misfiring. Malcolm Wilson in the Vauxhalls GTE, however, is flying. This front-wheel drive 2-litre car is 6th fastest. Louise Aiken-Walker in the 1.9-litre 205 GTI is 9th quickest. Equally, in fact, Bertie Fisher's time, who has had a turbo problem. But look at poor Austin McHale. The suspension in the Starion is far too soft, and the car is proving very difficult to handle. Meanwhile, Mark Lovell and Ronan Morgan are near the finish of the stage.
100, absolute right. 70, long easy left, maybe keep it. 30, caution jump. 120, narrow.
for Bertie Fisher and Austin Fraser, things are not so good. The turbo problems have delayed them, and they scrape into the top 10 at 9th equal place. Phil Collins, like last year, is absolutely sensational, and he's only 1 second slower than Lovell. Graham Middleton in the 1600 Group A Toyota, another one of last year's heroes, returns. But watch out for Chris Burbeck. He very nearly got the Vauxhall out of phase there, but his bravery is bringing results. He's 7th quickest on stage 1. John Lyons in the Lancia is out to prove once again that this is the combination in Group N. But the Sierras are going to be a major problem. Gwyndaff Evans and Raymond Ferreras here all the way from Peru have got a lot of horsepower to play with. The Balancing Lakes in Craigavon is a specially created spectator stage, which is a much more orderly affair. Jimmy McRae locks up the brakes. He's still first on the road, but in reality he's in 4th place. Inside the rally leader's car, Mark Lovell takes instructions from Ronan Morgan, who works overtime to try and let his driver anticipate the hazards.
40 slide right over Brow. 100 turn hairpin left around Flute. And long fast right opens. 60 water right over 20 into turn hairpin right. Medium left.
That turbo boost gauge is working overtime and the combination is perfect. Lovell and Morgan are again quickest. 2nd place Phil Collins continues without problems. But David Llewellyn in 3rd place after the opening test will get the Audi stuck in 3rd gear here and lose time. Malcolm Wilson still leads the Vauxhall Vanguard, and he shares 2nd fastest time with Phil Collins around the lakes. Louise Aiken-Walker equals teammate Kelly Grundle's time at Craigavon, proving that there is little at the moment between the 205 and 309 Peugeots. And Kelly was certainly trying. Watch him cock the rear wheel in his efforts to stay on par with the ladies, who have humbled him in the recent past. Bertie Fisher, sadly, is still a little off the pace, but you wouldn't think it here as he gets up considerable steam. For Pentti Auricola, things are about to go horribly wrong. Watch very closely as he is outraced by a speedboat. But the real story is that Ronan McNamee has lost his pace notes. Lost in Craigavon on a stage that's only 2.7 miles long. It's incredible. Now it's from bad to worse. They're stuck. And the championship lead is ticking away in the Craigavon mud. John Hogland, a regular visitor to Ireland and always in the surprising Skoda. Austin McHale still on that soft suspension in the Mitsubishi. A little bit of haymaking there, but worse is to come. Dave Metcalf will be shortly in the top 10, and a few shortcuts help. Here's that Group N sensation, Gwyndaff Evans in the showroom Sierra. He will actually equal Jimmy McRae's time, despite a rather costly mistake. Ramon Ferreras is also in the latest spec Group N Sierra, and he, like the rest of them, totally ignore the official warnings. Damage on Birkbeck's Vauxhall spoils that excellent first stage 7th place overall. The Cleveland driver has hit a tree and he drops out of the top 10. Steve Hill has changed from a Sierra 4.4 to the Cosworth variety, and he is discovering their Achilles heels, locking brakes. The Oxen driver also seems to be pretty keen on water sports. And so on to that much-needed first service area at Lisbon, where there is considerable work to be done. Jimmy McRae is fortunate in that his drive so far has done little to damage the RED-prepared Sierra. George Hamilton is there to meet him.
Jimmy, how's it gone so far, first 2 stages?
Not so bad, really. First stage, we don't know what the problem is. This temperature thing or something. But just momentarily stop, then I'll be able to go again. Other than that, okay.
The gearbox, which must be repaired before the next stage, is the big panic in the Audi camp. Llewellyn recounts his rally so far.
It was in fact quite a fast stage, and we thought that the Cosworths would take quite a lot of time off us, but Jimmy in fact was 2 seconds slower and Mark Lovell was 3 seconds quicker, so we were very encouraged by that. But the last stage we got stuck in 3rd gear. The linkage broke on the gearbox, so we dropped. We should have taken a bit of time because it was very mucky, but we did in fact drop, I think, 6 seconds to Mark Lovell and 1 to Jimmy.
So it appears Mark's in the lead of the stage.
I think Mark is in the lead of the stage, but I mean there's only like 4 seconds in it, so
okay,
it's looking well.
Bertie Fisher blasts through the grounds of Larchfield just outside Lisburn. Phil Collins admits to having the boost fully turned up, but it's not enough to catch Lovell. He's 13 seconds ahead of him. Dave Metcalf now joins Malcolm Wilson in Vauxhall GTEs, making 2 of them in the top 10. Behind the Flying Englishman comes this mammoth Group N battle, and what a battle. Gwyndaf Evans and the Showroom Sierra. He's now in an incredible 5th place overall, and it shows. John Lyons is in 18th place in the Lancia, and his Sierra fears are beginning to come true. 4 ahead of him is Steve Hill, now in 11th place overall, and 6th equal on this particular stage. And Vince Wetton, who's in 15th place overall. Scares a few people at Larchfield. Local Sierra, however, Leo Shaw, has been off for brief moments on the first 2 stages, so he is at present out of the running. Robin Phillips in the Golf GTI was another one to become a little bit unbalanced on the balancing legs and here at Larchfield. Jumping ahead to stage 5, Ballycross north of Banbridge. Mark Lovell now has a 17-second lead, but look who's following him. Jimmy McRae has sneaked past Collins into 2nd place. It's the type of experienced performance that we have come to expect from the circuit maestro. Phil Collins and Brian Thomas and the Mr. Tompkins Sierra Cosworth are just 3 seconds down on McRae, but they are also only 22 seconds ahead of Malcolm Wilson. Wilson now in 4th place, and this is just the sort of performance that we saw from Russell Brooks in a GTE last year. Next should have been Di Llewellyn, but his engine is gone, and with it one of the circuit's great drivers. 6th Gwyndaf Evans, but how long can a Group N car take this kind of treatment? The over-exuberant Welshman is beginning to make mistakes that the following pack are praying for. Louise Aiken-Walker has been unladylike to the front of her Peugeot. Another indiscretion on this stage will be much more costly when the ladies crash through a hedge and lose 5 minutes. David Metcalf arrives in a hurry. He will benefit from Louise Aiken-Walker's mistake. And Bertie Fisher comes into the picture, a bit like Jimmy McRae. He's moving up the field. He may be 8th, but he's only 1 minute behind the leaders. Kalle Grundle, the former fighter pilot from the Swedish Air Force, keeps the 309 firmly on the ground. He's in 9th place. In Mitsubishi land, things are far from good. McHale is not happy, and Pentti Ricola and Ronan McNamee nearly meet their final countdown.
That's fairly hairy stuff. What did he say to you then? What did you say?
That's what happens when there is a misunderstanding between a driver and his co-driver. They can laugh about it now, but it could have been serious, and it dramatically demonstrates the importance of keeping escape roads clear. However, the car is largely undamaged, and in professional rallying, you must continue at unabated speed, albeit with quite a trailer to quite a story.
I heard in a previous corner as a left 2, and it was in left 5 actually what Ronan said, but I heard it left 2, and so we arrived at the next corner, which is actually Peugeots, about 60 miles too fast, and so we went through the gates, and but we got a camera inside, so it looked all right. I think they opened the gate very quickly.
But we came around this corner, and I called left 5, which is quite a bad corner in our terms. And he thought I said left 2. So we came around the corner, we were doing about 80 miles an hour. There's a closed gate in front of us, so the only thing to do was open the gate. So we opened the gate went up in the air. I think you'll see it on your in-car camera.
Stage 8, and Jimmy McRae has really got the bit between his teeth on Currabecken Hill. But little did he know that Mark Lovell has had a puncture which cost him a minute, and later on this very stage he will crash out of the rally. Kalle Grundle, who is out of the top 8, is beginning to get the feel of the Irish roads. And Pentti Ricola, despite his off-course excursion, has fought his way back into serious contention. This is Malcolm Wilson, proving to be the dark horse of the event and driving in Ireland for the first time in 3 years. And playing it safe, Phil Collins, but still staying very much in touch. Regaining lost ground, Louise Aiken-Walker, every inch a professional. One day she will win a big international event. Bertie Fisher is now Ireland's only remaining hope after the enforced exit of Austin McHale on stage 7. And the very latest, John Lyons in Group N is rolled on stage 9, and Gwyndaf Evans is also out. And so on to Dundalk, and Kalle Grundle arrives with a badly damaged car.
This got out on a long straight, a little bit out of phase, and the back was bumping around. It just clipped the bank, coming over twice, and landed on top of the grass. Yeah, landed back on the wheels, and then we could start it straight away and drive off.
You did drive off, you drove off to get
lost
here.
About 20, 30 seconds at the most.
And so it was in Dundalk that Phil Collins was to learn he was second.
Yes, so the rumour has it now, yes, Mark had a big problem in there, it seems. Hit a ditch and then a hole, and apparently hasn't done too much for the value of the car.
But yours is still pristine.
Yes, that's right. We were a little bit cautious with our tire choice on that one. We ran an intermediate through there, and it was a little bit slow, actually. We dropped quite a bit of time to Jimmy's, but at least when we came to the odd muddy patch, we got around the corner instead of into the pole. So.
Well, with the last 3 stages, the first time the car has just gone perfect. We managed to get this misfire cured, and it was we had a really good time in stage 7, and stage 8 was good as well.
Well, now you've done the 9 and you're facing the really tough ones, the first of which is still to come. How do you feel about that now?
I feel much better on Monday night.
So McRae made it through that bone-shaking 10th stage tonight in champion style, and he's still in front at the end of day one. But look at Paddy Fisher, a highly commendable performance from the leading Irishman in 4th. Well, there were concerns expressed about this circuit when it was getting underway in Belfast. It wasn't the circuit of old, it was all rather low-key. But I can tell you here in Dundalk it's certainly not low-key, and that is the reason why we are here and not in Dublin where we should have been by this stage of the evening. For there have been unprecedented crowd scenes all the way down the 9 stages that have brought them here, and they've still got one more to go tonight. So it's a good night from Dundalk instead of from Dublin, because by the time this programme is going off the air, those cars will only just be arriving in Dublin. Well, tomorrow it's 9 stages all the way down to Waterford, some classics among them too, and we'll just have to wait and see whether Jimmy McRae can hold on to the lead he's got here in Dundalk, or whether he'll be pressed by the Pink Panther, as they're calling him, Phil Collins, in that remarkably coloured Sierra. Or what about Malcolm Wilson, who's going so well in the Astra? Alongside him, the man who used to be Jimmy McRae's co-driver, Ian Grindrod. Could Ian be on the way to another circuit victory? Well, tomorrow will take us another 9 stages along the way, as I say, and we'll join you again from Waterford tomorrow night. Till then, from Dundalk, though, bye-bye. Day 2 of the Circuit of Ireland Rally about to get underway from St Stephen's Green here, right in the centre of the millennium city of Dublin. What a dice we had yesterday. It was Mark Lovell who took the early lead, but then he went out of it. And now what do we got? Jimmy McRae going for his 6th win, last year's winner, with 1 minute and 13 seconds to spare at this stage. But what have we got in store today? Well, about 90 miles of stages all the way down to Waterford at places like Baltinglass, Shillelagh, Goresbridge and around Carlow. That should sort out the men from the boys. Men like McRae, like Paddy Fisher, who's doing so well up in 4th place, and like some you may not yet have heard of, Chris Birkbeck and David Maslin, both of them in the top 12, names perhaps to reckon with. We look forward to the day's action. I wonder now just how the drivers are feeling as they get ready for the first stage, which is at the RDS just down the road, and with them is Alan Tyndall.
There can be less energetic ways of spending Easter Sunday morning, but here at service at the RDS is where these little motoring miracles happen, where things are changed that have been damaged in yesterday's stages, where cars are refettled for today's very rough 9 stages ahead, and where things like lights are ripped off after last night's usage, and the cars generally checked out from top to toe.
Well, we've still 2 days of pretty tough stages to do, so we're not counting our chickens yet.
Phil Collins, do many people call you Mr. Tompkinson?
Well, I guess if they see me dressed like this, you can understand why they would, but no, they still, most of them recognise my name, so.
But there's many people calling you pretty fantastic this weekend. It's going very well for you.
Yes, we're having a pretty good rally up to now, and hopefully with the weather working out just the way we wanted, it'll continue this way. But we've still got quite a long way to go, and there's a lot of little muddy patches, so we've got to just, you know, watch what we're doing for the rest of the day at least.
Bernie Fisher, you're beginning to move up the field. You're now up into 4th place, but 1 minute 11 seconds behind the Vauxhall.
Yeah, we're going to have to work very hard today. Yeah, we're going to try and have a go at Malcolm, although the stages are quite tight down here. So I just don't know how suitable this car is going to be, or if we're going to have much of an advantage over the Vauxhall. But we're going to work at it.
Callie, I'm afraid the 309 is not a very pretty sight at the moment.
No, it doesn't look so good, but it's no problem with the car anyway, so we have no problem with the engine or suspension, or wheels are square and everything, so it's not a big problem. It looks more worse than it is.
3, 2, 1. Grounds of the RDS in Dublin are used as a spectator showpiece, but in effect, it's a rather point and squirt affair. Rally leaders Jimmy McRae and Rob Arthur know exactly how to treat it. Before their tyres warm up, it's their rather unspectacular and economic style. But when the rubber is ready, they really take advantage of the Cosworths' power between the 90-degree left and right-handers. And it pays off, they're second fastest. Phil Collins and Brian Thomas must take every stage seriously if they are to close McRae's 1 minute 13 second advantage. They're having a real go. It's fun to watch, but it's not the quickest way around the RDS, and they will prove to be only 7th equal fastest, but 1 second slower than Jimmy McRae. The front-wheel drive Vauxhall of Malcolm Wilson and Ian Grindrod requires a whole different technique. Malcolm starts today in 3rd place, 25 seconds behind Collins, and he will equal Jimmy McRae's time here. 4th placemen Paddy Fisher and Austin Fraser are also determined. But the Sierra on tarmac is still new to Fisher, and he's 2 seconds slower than McRae. Inside Paddy Hopkirk's Starion, we see that even an artificial stage like the RDS can be hard work. But the honours of the RDS go to Cally Grundle. He must have lightened the rear end of the Peugeot 309 GTI, or fastback as somebody has dubbed it, for the back wheels seem reluctant to stay on the ground. Stage 12, Spinnans Hill near Baltinglass. We're in the charging Starion along with Paddy Hopkirk and Ronan McNamee.
300, junction left 7, junction left 7, and right 7, caution slippery, into left 6, slippery, and press left 8, stone inside, into right 8 long, slippery, and right 2, suddenly left 1.
There's action in the air at Spinnans Hill on a nasty downhill left-hander. And when a corner catches out Jimmy McRae, you know that there's much more to come. Phil Collins is determined to catch McRae, but he must get this one right. He does, and he takes 8 seconds off Jimmy's lead on this stage. Malcolm Wilson has made few mistakes since leaving Belfast, and Spinnans Hill is no exception. He's 2nd fastest on this stage, and the front 3 are tightening up. Bertie Fisher with Austin Fraser no doubt yelling left, left, left in his ear. Gets out of a bad overshoot very quickly. And when you're finished and Paddy Hopkirk, you know all about using banks. Down amongst the classes, there have been a number of changes. Steve Hill leads Group N and is 7th overall in one of the few surviving showroom Sierras. 2.5 minutes behind is David Maslin in the Mazda 323. The Volkswagens are not having a great rally, but Andrew Wood has done well to be in the top 10 in a standard engine car. Frank Fennell is the top driver from the Republic of Ireland. He's in lucky 13th. John Hoogland started the rally fearing the Novas in the 1300 Group A class, but his fears have been unfounded. Welshman John Roberts in his Group N 2-litre Toyota Corolla is another class leader. He gets the corner right, which is more than can be said for Dave Metcalf. For the man in 6th place, it's an expensive mistake as the Vauxhall digs in, and all of its 2 litres are not enough to pull it away from Spinnans Hill. After we get through the treacherous spine and cross corner with Paddy Hopkirk, we begin to see just how rough the circuit stages are this year. Remember that the present-day rally car is much closer to your own road car. Can you see it taking this sort of treatment? Stage 13, and Fisher indicates that there's been trouble. He's had a spin, the rear bumper is missing, and it's cost him a place. Dave Metcalf is 6th, despite that long delay on the last stage. And here's the charging Auricola, now up into 4th place. Kelly Grundle maintains 8th place, 1 behind Steve Hill. The Group N leader, however, is in brake problems, and his superb 7th position is in jeopardy. Chris Birkbeck is in 9th position overall. In his rallying career, he's moved right up the GM range from Nova to Astra and now GTE. Andrew Wood completes the top 10 in his 16-valve Golf GTI. His teammate Simon Davidson, sadly, retires on this stage. In 11th place now, David Maslin, and still 2nd in Group N. Ken Graham is 15th overall, and Frank Fennell has moved up to 12th. On to Carlo and service. Fuel economy is not a priority with a Cosworth Sierra. The priority for Rob Arthur is staying ahead and making the right tyre choices.
Well, on the first stage, we all did about the same time because it was only 2/3 of a mile long. On stages 12 and 13, we elected to go in on cut slick front tyres and slick rears. And Phil Collins, Malcolm Wilson went in on an intermediate pattern tyre all round. And Phil's taken about 10 seconds off us on the 2 stages, and Malcolm's done the same times as us. So maybe they had the better tyres for those 2.
You don't look too concerned.
There's a long way to go yet, and Phil's still a minute behind us, so we'll see how it goes.
We're not kidding ourselves. We're not under any illusions about taking a couple of fastest times. Jimmy could just probably turn the wick up and take that back in the next couple of stages. So we're just doing the best we can without doing anything dangerous.
He's a canny old Scot, isn't he? You're not expecting him to make too many mistakes.
He certainly is. I mean, we've got to apply a little bit of pressure to the old boy. We can't let him have it too easy. And as I was saying just now, he has won the event 5 times before, and I think it'd be very selfish of him to want to try and win it again this year. Don't you think so?
The Group N leaders glide into Carlo's service area brakeless. Although these cars have almost the same power as their Group A brothers, they can only run on standard brakes. Brian Goff, Steve Hill's co-driver, explains the problem.
You're changing brake pads at this service. Have you had problems with braking?
Yeah, quite a lot. It's because it's so dry, it's very, very quick. Therefore, being a Group N car, we're running on virtually standard brakes. Therefore, we're running out of brakes all the time, so we're keeping changing them as we go along.
And is that why there's the little alteration to the front wing?
No, that was on stage 1. That was on a 90 left on stage 1 when we had no brakes on the front and all the brakes on the back, and entertained everybody by going backwards into the bends. So just a little bit of damage, yes.
You're in a car that looks not unlike Jimmy McRae's, basically, but he's got a team of 12 looking after him. Right. How many have you got?
Oh, we've got 4.
4?
We're a privateer, basically. We have just the 4 guys following us around, and that's all we have.
They're all in it for the love.
Of course.
Well, now, you're halfway through almost 2nd day. What about your prospects for the whole rally?
Well, it's just a matter of holding station. We have about a 1:30 lead over the next Group N car, and just a matter of holding it there. Keeping there, not going too crazy, trying to keep the car going, and just hope for the best.
Brake problems in Cosworth Sierras, however, have not been confined to Group N, as Austin Fraser, Bertie Fisher's co-driver in the leading Irish car, tells us.
Well, we have changed tyres, changed brakes. We've had a braking problem on the last stage, which caused a spin in the middle of the stage.
Okay, that'll do.
Dropped a bit of time, roughly about 30 seconds. So if those things are altered now, we hope that'll make an improvement. So we're heading now to try these next couple of stages.
You have Malcolm Wilson in your sights.
Spring Hill 1 may not look the rough, potholed 7.5-mile stage that it is from the church, but Jimmy McRae must reply now to Phil Collins' challenge, and that's exactly what he does, setting fastest time 5 seconds faster than the following Phil Collins. Collins says he is happy to let Jimmy go a bit on these stages, but he has also had some brake troubles. Malcolm Wilson's 3rd place is now fairly secure, with Fisher nearly 2 minutes behind. But he can't make any impression on the leaders. Bertie Fisher in the Alamac car may be back in 5th place, but he is very quick in this stage, 3rd fastest in fact. Now we ride with the new 4th place crew. Despite that high-speed trip through the gate yesterday, Penty and Ronan are continuing to make progress up the leaderboard.
6-.
Enters Steve Hill at high speed and with no brakes. This will drop him to 8th place, and his Group N lead is dwindling. Chris Burbeck is putting on a great show. It's his first year in the big 2-litre car with the GM team. Back inside the Starion, we charge through Spring Hill. A good result on the circuit is vital for Penty's championship hopes. And this is one of the great recoveries of the rally.
And jump to 400, left 2 minus, left 2 minus.
But suddenly the Starion is dead.
Right
Ronan can't believe it. He repeats the note.
junction right 7.
But there is no choice but to coast off the junction and investigate.
Get it when I pull those wires.
It seems to be an electrical problem. There is absolutely no power going through the system. Both men have considerable mechanical knowledge, but can they fix the Colt Starion right out here on the stage? It's not a problem that's bothering national and international 1600 Group A champion Graham Middleton at the moment. He again leads the class on the circuit. Remember, he was 10th last year. David Maslin gets closer and closer to that Group N lead in the Mazda. Penty and Ronan are back in the car again. 1.5 minutes have been lost, which will drop them 2 places to 6th overall. At least they're still going. And so is John Roberts, and in very spectacular fashion in his Group N Toyota. Steve Hill has dropped again, however, and sadly this is the last time we will see the Oxen driver who has made such an impression. Bertie Fisher is now the man to watch, and he's back up to 4th place. The safety devices mechanics dive on the Starion back at the Carlow service halt. As we suspected, the problem is electrical. Somewhere amongst that maze of wiring, something has failed. Penty, the true professional, remains surprisingly good-natured about it all.
There's some problem in wiring loom, and after the jumps, the engine stops, and then Ronan has to go out and fiddle with this wire loom, and off we go again. But it doesn't. It's not the quickest way to go through.
He's having quite a rally. One day he's sending you into fields, the next day he's turning electrician.
Yes, he's very busy, very busy.
From problems in a wiring loom to problems solved by the Sydney Meek mechanics for Bertie Fisher.
The boys done some adjustments to the brakes in the last service area here, and put in new discs and pads, and it seems to have made a good job of it now, and we had a very good run through those two.
Now the competitors have to do the Spring Hill and Castle Warren stages all over again. Jimmy McRae in the RED prepared Sierra is in total command. Far from resting on his laurels, he is actually increasing his lead. Jimmy is fastest on both stages. It must be demoralizing for the opposition. And here comes the opposition, Phil Collins, who simply can't reply to the pace. It's that same familiar Sierra story. Brake problems. He was complaining about them when he came to the last service in Carlow, but now they're supposed to be fixed, and yet the car is pulling rather alarmingly for him to one side. Malcolm Wilson can't match the speed of the Sierras on these stages, and he slips back slowly, stage by stage, into the clutches of the now very on-form Bertie Fisher. And here comes Fisher, who is gaining all the time. Over the last 4 stages, he has closed the gap by 24 seconds. But he still has over a minute to make up if he is going to catch the Cumbrian driver. Apart from the very visible damage to the 309 Peugeot, the Swede Kalle Grundle with English co-driver Brian Rainbow is in very consistent form today. Up pops Birkbeck, one of the great entertainers of the 1988 Rothmans circuit. But for excitement, there can be no more exhilarating seat than alongside Penty Auricola in the Starion. The electrical problems seem to have been solved, and there is a lot of time to be made up. Climb into the back seat again and take a deep breath.
400, left 2 minus, left 2 minus, and junction right 7. And left 2.
The crazy Finn is going bananas.
And left 8 slippery. Left 8 slippery. Into right 4.
A gate, 2 stops, and now a hedge. What next?
Okay. Right 4. Into right 5. Into left 4. Crest, right 6.
Penty is giving the Irish fans something they will remember for years to come. Graham Middleton is now just outside the top 10 in 11th place. He probably would have been higher, but for minor problems at the beginning of the rally. And now comes that great Norwegian, John Hogland. He has spent his entire rallying career in Skodas. His driving talent is obvious, and he now has the 1300cc Group A car up into 14th place. John Roberts leads his class by over 3 minutes, his nearest rival being Maurice Moffat in a similar car. One of the other great drives of the day comes from Louise Aiken-Walker, who has made up 23 places in the Peugeot. At the Loughlin Bridge service area, there are still 2 stages to Waterford. The 10-mile Gores Bridge test, which is faster than the last 4, and Lister Lynn, another long 10-miler. Ronan McNamee will probably be glad when today is over.
Today, everything today. On the last stage, we were second fastest. On the previous stage, I think we were second or third fastest, but we managed to hit a bank. Well, we thought that you needed something else to see in your camera, you know, so we came to a bad left-hander and it was very slippery, and we just went up the bank, looked at the sky for a few minutes and then reversed back down again.
It wasn't a case of misheard pace notes this time.
No. This time you have sound and everything. You can hear me call it in plenty of time.
I suppose that's one thing. If he does think you've called the wrong one,
I can play back and say to him, there you are, it's your fault.
Is it a difficult rally to co-drive?
Not really. We've done a recce, we've made pace notes. It's just a case of reading them out and hoping they're all right.
But so far, no Penty Auricola Ronan tricks like into fields.
No, we haven't done any of that this time. We usually have a fair bit of drama, but this time we're drama-free. We want to keep it that way.
So we'll take some time out, Phil, in the last 4 stages. Just to keep them in place.
So you're really happy enough? I mean, you look quite relaxed.
Yeah, well, it's still a bit to go, but if everything goes as it's gone up to now, I'll be quite happy.
Prohibited area? The sign could more aptly apply to the following 2 drivers than the spectators. Penty, now looking quite subdued, has taken us into a number of prohibited areas. And Louise Aiken-Walker's excursion yesterday has inspired her to race from 37th to 12th. Absolutely fabulous. And so on to the last stage of the day and the 19th stage of the rally. The great Jimmy McRae now looks a very strong bet for that record 6th win. This puncture is not helping Phil Collins' chances, but he will limp into Waterford still second. Malcolm Wilson has been third all day, and he seems to have stopped Fisher's advances for the meantime. Indeed, it's been a much better day for Bertie Fisher. He seems to grow more confident by the mile in the Sierra. David Metcalf ends day 2 in 5th spot, but GM will lose Birkbeck on this very stage. Callie Grundle has slipped a place to Auricola. He's now in 7th place. And next is the man who will have all the tongues wagging in the southeast tonight, Pentti Aurikkala, back in 6th after all his adventures. Andrew Rood brings the remaining Volkswagen to Waterford in 9th place. And Graham Middleton completes the top 10 with his Toyota. And so we drop down into Waterford at the end of another very dramatic day on the Rothmans Circuit of Ireland Rally. Jimmy McRae has maintained his overall lead from Dublin, and David Maslin is the new Group N leader. For second place driver Phil Collins, the drama was on the 19th stage, still proving that anything can happen in rallying.
Just at the end there, it was all a bit dramatic. We had a puncture just 3.5 miles from the end of the stage, I suppose. We elected to keep going because we knew if we stopped that would be at least 3 minutes gone and we'd definitely lose our second place. And luckily it just held out and we just got to the end of the stage. But it was pretty dramatic and the steering was juddering, the tyre was flapping off, hitting the wing and everything. And it was just one of those moments that we experienced a few times before, and that's it. There's a lot of corners, a lot of potholes, a lot of farmyards to go through tomorrow. I mean, we said that just on the last stage, not far to go, just 7 miles at the end of the day, and suddenly bang, and you know, we've got the spanners out.
So it's not over yet?
It certainly isn't.
Well, I just heard Phil Collins saying it isn't all over yet, and he's right. I mean, he's obviously had a problem on the last stage, but we can't really catch him unless he has another problem. So we're really quite content with third and quite happy with that.
We're still 4th. We haven't really made many inroads into Malcolm's lead over us, but no, we're quite happy. We've had a very good run this afternoon. We've had 6 very good stages, and starting to gain a lot of confidence with the car now, and it's not feeling so strange as it did.
We've tried to be very neat through the stages and stay off the banks. It's not always easy though.
What is the margin at the moment, as far as you know?
I think we're 2 minutes 20-something seconds in front of Phil just now.
So in terms of a football match, what's that at half-time? 2-0, 3-0?
Well, I don't know, 2-0. But anything can happen tomorrow, or anything can happen in the second half.
This is Waterford at the end of day 2 of the Circuit of Ireland Rally, and guess who's in front? Jimmy McRae, as he has been, with a cushion now of some 2 minutes to spare over Phil Collins in second place. Let's take a look at that leaderboard in some detail now. We'll see that McRae has that time to spare, with Collins in second place and Malcolm Wilson pressing him hard. But look at Bertie Fisher in 4th, and we must congratulate too Frank Fennell back down there in the top 10, second Irishman to get his place among the elite. What a remarkable drive he's had in that cadet.
Anybody ever remembers me for my 5 wins, he's equaling that now. I hope he doesn't do it, but I do hope he does well.
On the last day of what has turned out to be the Sunshine Circuit. Yes, the weather has been quite unbelievable, and we're just keeping fingers crossed that it'll stay that way right back to Dublin. Key questions will be answered today. Will Jimmy McRae's cushion prove to be sufficient? Will Malcolm Wilson dislodge Phil Collins from second place? And what about the Irishman, Bertie Fisher and Frank Fennell? Can they, those 2 top 10 drivers, improve upon their positions by the time they reach St. Stephen's Green? Those questions will be answered, but ahead of the drivers, all of them, those remaining crews, is a course that takes in 7 special stages. Famous names like Portlaw, then Wind Gap and Egan's Folly, all the way to Mondello Park, that spectator stage, completing almost 60 miles before they head off into Dublin. 60 miles of stages, that is, on the long way round to the Millennium City. We'll be back there by mid-afternoon. Who'll be the winner? Will it be McRae?
See you later.
Your game plan for day 3, what is it?
Well, just really quick enough to stay in front, you know, and try and be safe and be at Dublin 2.5 minutes in the lead.
It must be a defensive job for you at this stage.
It is now, yeah. We've got a fair cushion. If we did have the problem like Phil had last night, he has a puncture, then we've got a bit of cushion now.
So no fireworks from Jimmy, it's just straight down the middle job.
But it's actually very difficult sometimes to go that bit slower and be more careful. You tend to make more mistakes that way. So we'll play it by ear.
Phil, you've had your problems on this ride. Is everything all right for the final day?
Well, yeah, we're hoping everything's going to be okay. We've just been changing the brake discs and the brake pads, and obviously trying to make the right tyre choice for this first batch of stages. I've just been talking to the lads that Jimmy has going through the stages to check them, and there's quite a lot of gravel on the first one, but the next two are reasonably clear. So
you're getting your homework from Jimmy's lads?
Yes, we have. Well, we haven't got a mud and puddle crew ourselves, so we have to sort of pick up on everybody else's on that, you know, off these professional teams, you see. So we've got to pick up a little hint or two where we can. But we made a mistake yesterday afternoon, the last pair of stages. We didn't realise how bad stage 19 was, and of course we came out of there with a flat tyre, so we don't want to make that mistake again today.
Who are you more worried about, or what are you thinking more about? Jimmy McRae, who's got that 2-minute cushion, or Malcolm Wilson,
well,
who's
obviously
30
Malcolm Wilson. You see one little mistake again, another puncture again, and we'll be behind Malcolm for sure. Jimmy's far ahead with the mileage that's left. We haven't really got any chance of catching Jimmy now, so I've just been assuring him of that this morning and told him to take it plenty easy enough, and then when if he's taking it slow enough, he might manage to make a little mistake then, you see. So no, certainly Malcolm will be watching for, and just trying to hang on to this second place now.
Oh, Bertie, you're locked in fourth, about 2 minutes ahead of you and 2 minutes behind you. Is this where you're going to stay, or what's the plan?
Yeah, I think we have no option now. There's only 7 stages to the finish, so we'll try and get the car around fourth place. Obviously, there's still time for people in front to have problems. We can also have problems, so no, I think we're quite happy now.
It's been an interesting rally for you, first time out in this car.
I found the car very, very strange. A lot different to the Manto of last year, and requires a different driving technique, and I think we've probably got that sussed now.
Frank, what's the plan for the final day?
It's a bit tricky, George. We're 32 seconds behind Andrew Wood and 37 seconds in front of Graham Middleton, with Louise about a minute and a half behind. I would term in good company, so the plan is to try and have a steady run and have a little go at Andrew at the same time, keeping Graham away. It's a difficult one yet.
Are you confident that the car is in sound enough, Nick?
The car is very sound at the moment, so fingers crossed with that.
We're talking to everybody. It seems to be a case of consolidation this final day, really.
Well, we've probably a little more work to do there. We've been in the position I've just explained, so we'll be trying hard.
How's it been going for you?
Very well. We had some bad problems on the first stages with overheating. Lost us a lot of power. We've been in a ditch once. Other than that, it's been fairly safe.
And I'm sure you're pretty pleased to be where you are, top of Group N.
Oh, very pleased, yeah.
The run home to Dublin begins with 2 circuit favourites, Portlow and Windgap. The first stage after a restart is always tricky. You have to build yourself up to pace, and mistakes can easily be made. Jimmy is the expert, however, and he's 7 seconds quicker than his pursuer, Phil Collins. That can't help Phil's confidence, nor can the state of his brakes at the moment. Malcolm Wilson starts the day with the threat of Fisher still behind him. And remember, he's only got half the horsepower of a Sierra. But Bertie Fisher is slow. 22 seconds slower than McRae, in fact. Metcalf, a Cumbrian like his teammate Wilson, starts in 5th place. And Petty starts 6th, determined to improve.
Left 5.
Once again, we are afforded the privilege of riding with one of the world's greatest rally drivers, and without the risks that Ronan McNamee has to take.
Jump. Right 6 over jump. And left 7. Suddenly left 2. And left 5 minus. And right 5 minus. 100, left 5, into left 3, 200, junction left 6, brake, suddenly junction right 8, left 6, right 8.
Petty's first target of the day is David Metcalf, 55 seconds ahead. Fifth place is a realistic goal for the championship leader, and we will stay with him to chart his high-speed progress.
Into crest 1, 300, right 8, stone inside. Right 8, stone inside. 100, right 1 minus.
Gail Slee, there's no yield for Kelly Grundle, and Frank Fennell starts in 9th place today and top driver from the Republic. Graham Middleton guides his Toyota with the steering wheel held together with glue. Would you? David Maslin, our Group N leader. Followed by Louise Aiken-Walker, who's now incredibly in the top 10. Towards the end of Portlaw and nearly another stage ticked off Penty's list.
Into long crest, left 1, and junction right 7 minus, hairpin. Into crest 1, into right 1, into left 1 minus, 150, left 1.
There's the finish board, and he's been second fastest. Ken Graham, the young Omer driver, is having a fabulous circuit. But for many, the drive of the rally so far is John Roberts in his standard Toyota. He's in 16th place. Andrew Hudson shows signs of damage on his Toyota, but in much worse shape, the Group A Sierra of Brian Ferner. And so to stage 21, 7.2 miles north of Carrick. The status quo with the top teams remains much the same. Jimmy is now using intermediate Pirellis and is quickest again. And it's not Phil Collins who gets the second fastest time here, but in fact the car that's pursuing him, Malcolm Wilson in the GTE. Then all hell breaks loose for Irish fans. Where's Fisher? He's missing. Fifth place man Metcalf comes through, but there's still no Fisher. Meanwhile, inside Penty's car, they're unaware of the drama that lies ahead of them. They're now in this very fast stage in the foothills of Slieve na Mon.
40, right 9, Mirage. Right 9, Mirage.
Mirage? That's not a Mirage, that's Bertie Fisher. He's crashed out of the rally, and with him go any hopes of an Irish victory.
Right 7, into right 4, and left 4, left 4.
Well, Bertie's demise moves everybody up one. Kelly Grundle is now 6th in the 309. Maslin has in fact moved up 2 places, but more about that later. And Ken Graham is also going to benefit from the demise of the people ahead of him. John Hogland is unaware of the drama that he's caused in the surprising Skoda, for behind him is Richard Hall, who was blinded by his dust and actually hit Bertie's car further up the stage. And here's our hero Roberts again, also showing a little bit of damage. This is almost unrecognizable. Sadly, it's Fennell and what remains of his Opel GSI. Can the Dublin privateer make a disservice?
Into right 5, into middle crest, right 1.
Penty continues his chase. He's now 5th again,
into
thanks
right
to
1,
Fisher.
into crest, left 1, brake, into left 6.
Close the gap to Metcalf again from 55 to 46 seconds. In Kilkenny's service, Frank Fennell's crew have laid out the tools in preparation for some frantic work, and they still hope to meet their driver.
Well, at this stage we're not entirely sure. I was on to the service crew and they're not 100% sure if he's going to keep on running. The car is driving as far as we know, so it's just as soon as it gets in we'll make a decision then.
So you just got to wait till he arrives?
That's all, or till I hear word. But at this stage, we're not entirely sure.
As we saw, Fennell was not the only one to hit trouble between Waterford and Kilkenny. Brian Ferner's Sierra is a very sorry sight on close inspection. It is a testament to the safety regulations that Stephen Turvey has not been badly hurt, but he hasn't got away totally unmarked.
What happened to you?
I elbowed the window in.
But it was all when you rolled?
Yeah.
Where did this happen?
On stage 20, about halfway through.
It was a bad one, was it?
Yeah, quite.
Yeah, not the one you kind of like to do every day.
No. No, I just put a hole in my elbow, so patch.
Are you in a position to carry on?
Oh yeah.
Minor detail.
Back in Fennell's camp, hope is running out. Nothing is coming through on the radio yet, and the news does not look good.
Fans and over, Joe. Come in, please.
Brian Wiggins is an eyewitness.
Brian, we're all waiting for Frank Fennell. You've actually seen him out there.
Yeah, that's right. He was stopped on the side of the stage, you know, in a cloud of smoke. Obviously, he's trying to get at the stage, but obviously his radiator's gone and he's overheating very badly, so he's causing a few problems on the stage as well. He's holding a few people up, trying to get out, but, you know, when we actually saw him, he was parked on the side.
Any indications of what might have happened?
Well, it looks like he's, you know, he's either hit something on the front and rolled it as well. He's definitely been on his roof, but, you know, if he's still on his wheels, he's, you know, he can move, but I think it's just the fact of the engine's overheating badly.
From the troubled to the healthy, both Sierras look cosmetically perfect, and in fact Jimmy's is. But Phil Collins's challenge seems to have faded with his brakes. What of Malcolm Wilson?
Malcolm, third you set out with, and third you're maintaining. Is it going as expected?
Yeah, it's gone according to plan. We've had a little bit of pressure taken off us because we believe that Bertie's actually gone off about a couple of stages ago, so hopefully now we just have a nice run into the finish with a bit of luck.
Louise Aiken-Walker's extraordinary climb from 37th to 8th has not been without its moments. Her throttle jammed wide open on the last stage. And there's Penty Auricola, the only driver left who can move up a position now. We've been inside the car and marvelled at his speed, but look how cool he is in Kilkenny.
I think the guys that are in front now are just going, you know, steady enough within the pace. But the last one was very, very fast, and you know, it suited the power cars really.
You're now fourth, are you?
At the moment, yeah. There's a flying fin behind me that's pushing right down.
Ronan, the usual question: what have you been up to this morning?
Everything again. We started off this morning in 6th place. On the first stage, we took 13 seconds off Dave Metcalf. Second stage, we had a puncture. Bertie Fisher also went off, so even though we had the puncture, we moved up to 5th. And on the last stage, we took 18 seconds from Dave Metcalf, so we have three more stages to go before Mandela Park. About 30 stage miles, and we've got to make up 46 seconds, so watch this camera.
So Metcalf's in your sights, and it really is the flying fin?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're going to go for 4th, and that's it.
Barrack Village, where fins must fly. Penty's battle-scarred Starion must pull back 1.5 seconds per mile on Metcalf's Astra. But can the safety devices car stay on the road? Strap up, we're going for broke.
2, 1, go. Right 5 long, opens. Into right 7 minus long. Into left 7 minus long. Into left 5, into right 6 long, into left 6. Fantastic. Fantastic, I tell you.
And it was fantastic. They had reached their 1.5 second per mile target at Barrack Village, and now Metcalf is the frightened hare. Get back in, we're going to catch him.
And crest right 2 into left 4 minus. And crest right 4. 50, crest 1, 100, jump 1, 100, left 5 over jump, into right 2, right side crest 3, into left 2, and right 4 minus, into right 5, into right 1, suddenly jump left 4, right 7, 300, 300, junction right 8, big stone inside, remember. Junction right 8, big stone inside, remember. Keep out, keep out, keep out. And crest, left 6, into right 6 minus, right 6 minus, left 5, and left 7, and crest, left 7, suddenly right right 6, suddenly left 6, into crest right 1, suddenly right 2, caution, 100, right 2, caution, and left 5. And junction left 7.
We make no apologies for entering you in this rally. There are 2 stages to go and 10 seconds to make up.
Magic.
And this is the second last, and Jimmy is so close to becoming the greatest rally driver we have ever seen in this land. Metcalf is rattled. He's been off the road. And here comes Auricola. He must have narrowed the gap again. At the Newbridge service area before Mondello, it's almost over and everybody waits for the Starion to arrive. As Penty parks the Starion for its final refettling, Louise Aiken-Walker is in an understandably happy mood after a tremendous drive, but everybody wants to hear from Penty.
What, 4 seconds off 4th place?
Yeah.
What have you been up to?
Well, what do you mean? Should it be closer?
No, I mean, how did you manage to get yourself back quite so close?
I think we should have been actually ahead, but we had a puncture in one of our stages, and we had to do nearly a mile and do a puncture. So that lost us some time.
Well, I think we're 8th now.
And is that as far as you're going to be able to go?
Yeah, we've got to settle for that now. There's only a 2-mile stage and there's 1 minute in front and 1 minute behind, so we'll just cruise to the end.
Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Do you like this kind of thing, Mondello Park?
Well, could have been. Well, it would have been a bit better to have it in the middle of the rally instead of the end, because sometimes these stages are very unpredictable, and this is where some big mistakes can be made.
Now you're off to Mondello for the sprint. And what kind of tyres are you going to choose for that?
Gravel ones. I like to go sideways.
Gravel tyres from Mondello Park. Admittedly, they are only using part of the race circuit near Naas. But are gravel tyres the right choice? We will have to wait and see. The rally fans flocked in their thousands to Mondello Park to see the legendary Scot on his 1988 Circuit Lap of Honour. The course is an interesting one. It's a combination of the rally sprint circuit, the race circuit and the rallycross circuit. For Jimmy McRae and Rob Arthur, Mondello Park is a high-speed celebration glide. The Scots' domination of the event has been quite extraordinary. He's been fastest on 16 of the 26 stages. In fact, he's only been out of the top 4 on 2 occasions. He doesn't need to be quickest here. Second will do quite nicely.
Up to Budweiser, turns right there, going rather wide, I would feel.
For Malcolm Wilson and Ian Grindrod, third is a highly satisfactory result. Remember, it's a front-wheel drive, 2-litre, normally aspirated car, giving out about 165 brake horsepower, about half that of the Sierras. So it's a tremendous result, particularly on a tarmac rally. For Malcolm, it's his highest finish ever on the circuit. But remember who's guiding him. Ian Grindrod, who already has 4 victories to his credit. But for Dave Metcalf and Mike Broad, Mondello Park is pressure of the highest kind. Their 4th place is only secured by 4 seconds. And when you've got a fired-up fin and a 260 brake horsepower turbocharged Starion breathing down your neck, that's not secure. And this is the man we've been watching all day. Absolutely fantastic performance. Penty Auricola and Ronan McNamee going for this final dash round Mondello. There's only 4 seconds in it, and it's going to be absolutely flat out in the Starion. Remember, he told us he likes sideways stuff. He's beginning to give it to us. Penty will try anything to get back that 4 seconds, but it's going to be quite a task.
Into right 6.
Anything, including a shortcut.
Right 6. Into right 7 long.
What a fight it's been from then. We're still on the race circuit, out the back, now onto the loose. This is part of the rallycross track. It's very fast. And this is a car that had its breeding on a racetrack. And it's an absolutely wild Penty Auricola that the thousands are watching here at Mondello. There's not much of the front left in that car. Another shortcut. It's got to be a quick time, but was it quick enough? Louise Aiken-Walker, another one of the fabulous fighters in this event. She's back up to 8th. It's been an incredible recovery drive from 37th. Ellen Morgan alongside her. They visited that farmyard 2 days ago, which lost them 6 minutes, but they never gave up. Remember, this combination was second on the opening round of the British Championship. Down the bumpy back section on the sprint course, you can see the little Peugeot bouncing about. And as the Group N leader comes off the tarmac and onto the loose, which should suit the four-wheel drive, we hear that Penty has been quickest on the stage. Now we hear that it's not quick enough. In fact, he's only made up 3 of the 4 seconds. What a finale to that battle.
The 3 days of the 26 stages brought us here in the end to Stephen's Green in the sunshine, where the crowds were out. A huge holiday crowd to salute the champion. It was the first time for the Circuit of Ireland to finish in Dublin, and in its millennium year, the reception was typically enthusiastically dubbed.
I felt, yes, because the conditions were bad and, you know, the stages were very difficult. I felt that Mark was maybe just going a bit quicker than was safe to do so. And, well, it proved to be right.
When did you feel that you had it won?
Really, after Mark went out, we felt confident we could hold Phil at bay. And we had, you know, once we get the 3 stages, 7, 8 and 9, we took about a minute off from there. We knew then that we had in with a good chance unless we had a problem.
Okay, no problems. Very neat, very tidy. I think people watching the video last night that you made were commenting this morning that others seem to be into the banks and out of the banks, yet our car quicker and yet still in the middle of the road.
And unmarked?
Unmarked, not a mark on it.